Kazuma Asogi, I know you and I know you wouldn't lie, but still there's no doubt that you're holding something back. You know more than you're saying. Oh, we got bits of evidence as well, didn't we? Yeah, here we go. We actually have them now. So what we did before, remember we started that session with the whole trunk thing and the slash and the broken tip of the sword inside of it. We know this is Gregson's trunk. There's blood on it. Yeah, we know a lot of shit happened with this trunk. And Kazuma, we found him out by confronting him with this because he apparently knew about Gregson's metal traveling trunk. We're like, we never told anybody about a metal traveling trunk, and the police never found that at the scene of the crime because it was stolen by a hobo. So we got him to show us Karma, and the tip is broken. And he confessed to being there and told us everything we needed to know. Karma, the great blade, it's such a thing of beauty, I want to gaze on it for hours. Anything else about it that we can look at on the tip? There it is, look, the tip's missing. The tip of the great sword is broken. It's such a shame. It's been so meticulously cared for over the years. Just the tip, though, absolutely. I can almost hear Karma's sobs. Meanwhile, Susato's like, oh dear lord, get a hold of yourself, man. Kazuma must have really taken a swing for that to happen. Yeah, that was a killing shot that was going in, and it was going for Gregson, probably. We think. It could be that Jigoku grabbed the thing and used it to deflect the blade as well, and Kazuma was trying to kill Jigoku. Gregson's not around anymore to tell his version of events, so we don't know. The evacuation drill itinerary, yes. We found this in the cabin as well, but this was the one that was given when Mikotoba and Jigoku took this ship over to London from Dunkirk to begin with. And it seems Jigoku managed to catch the ship back to Dunkirk, because it's going back the other way now on the Shanghai route again. It's going to go to Dunkirk, Naples. I don't know if the Suez Canal was built back then or if that's later, but yeah, then they would go back around to, you know, Far East and so on and stop at other places along the way in Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo. Well, the tip is just about all there is. Could be. So yeah, this was the evacuation notice. So what we could see was that the cabin hadn't even been cleaned since Jigoku departed the ship. Makes me wonder if he ever really left to begin with. Happy lurking, Shy? So following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 PM in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill will take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties when the drill is over. So at 10 PM until about 10:20, no crew members were around other than on the top deck. That gives somebody ample opportunity to do something nefarious. But what? Gregson being killed by Jigoku or by Kazuma. And we know the ship definitely has a refrigeration area. It has a freezer. It would be a big walk-in one because it's got to cater for all the passengers. Yeah, most likely don't leave the ship. Still need to find out when he bought the ticket back to the same cabin, yes. Or did he do that as part of his, like, whole travel itinerary? You know, he bought a ticket to get there and then booked the ticket back as well really quickly. Did he come here to do something himself? Did he come to kill Gregson? Did he invite Gregson with him? Who knows, you know, like, did he send a message on to say to Gregson, come and meet me in Dunkirk? Was it a trap? Did Kazuma get involved in that? Was it between him and the judge? You never know, there's so many possibilities. But this came from the top of Gregson's watch. Chain loop. You see the little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on the top of the pocket watch that you twist to set the time. Oh, it's the time setter as well, that's it. It's called the crown, I believe. So it's not the winding mechanism, that was the key, but it is the time. It's the one where you can adjust the time. It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one. The crown, like what sits on top of a monarch's head, that's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually... Yes, Mr. Naruhodo? If this is a crown, I have a feeling I might have seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head. If by Monarch you mean Pocket Watch, then I'm quite sure you have. Genius. If we go back to Gregson's Pocket Watch, let us put the two pieces together now. What do you think, Miss Susato? I feel sure I know exactly what will fit here. Really? I was just thinking precisely the same thing. We're about to see the little round component is actually part of Gregson's broken pocket watch. Really? I was just thinking precisely that too. Yeah, there we go. Click. A perfect fit. I knew it. Alright, perhaps you knew it. I'll make a note of this new information at once. Excellent. Making progress. Yeah, so the missing component is now part of Gregson's pocket watch. That's update. Case solved. Watch is whole again, we can all go home. That's all we really needed to do, let's be honest. You know, we needed to find the rest of this pocket watch. The rest of the game now is just filler. It's fluff. Okay. During the past 30 minutes, while this crew was adjourned, while this court was adjourned, all possible efforts were expended. But sadly, Mr. Jigoku's whereabouts could not be ascertained. We must accept the unfortunate conclusion. The Reaper has already done the deed. Yeah, well, we know he's actually on the SS Grouse in Dunkirk. He tries so hard, he does. There's no sense in wasting any more of the court's time. The prosecution calls for an immediate verdict. Nope. No, the trial cannot end now. You're a Japanese man, Ryusuke. You should know when to lay down your sword. Oh, you mean the one with the broken tip? And you should know never to presume when the battle is won. The court has already been presented with all the evidence and heard all relevant testimonies. And there can only be one conclusion, that the accused is guilty. Also, that crown was found with Jigoku and you already have it in your hand, yet they know nothing. Exactly, yeah, that's kind of weird. We have that and we have the note from the ship. It only took them 30 minutes to recess. And the ship is in Dunkirk. I don't think they got back in 30 minutes. But anyway. All relevant testimony? Far from it. There's still a crucial witness, from whom the court is yet to hear a single word of testimony. In that case, call your witness to the stand at once, counsel. Yes, my lord. Tomorrow, if possible. Can we delay the trial another day? The witness is already on his way and scheduled to arrive tomorrow. Who on earth is this crucial witness? Seishiro Jigoku. The very man allegedly murdered by the Reaper. Mic drop. Judge Jigoku, you found him? Impossible! No, it can't be in Dunkirk now. I think it was heading back there. Really? I thought it was in Dunkirk. Because we've got to wait till tomorrow for them to return. As they've just said now. I thought it was already in Dunkirk and was about to depart. 'Cause it said they were about to depart for Naples. Italy. Next stop Italy, if you're... So it's in Dunkirk currently. Jigoku already caught the boat the previous night to this. Which is why nobody's seen him since yesterday. And he's now in Dunkirk, and Mikotoba and Sholmes said they had to catch a train to Dover, catch a ferry, an overnight ferry to Dunkirk to be there today to catch up with the SS Grouse. Too many details, I know, right? It's like, I can't remember everything, shit. Yeah. It's like that thing that you told me about. Well, that Jigoku means hell or something, right? So, and I totally forgot that you told me that, because too much information has entered this brain since, so, hey little Rip, hear me out. Red Ripper motherboard with a quad 3090 setup. That sounds amazing. Do it. How are you, little Rip? Hope everything's going well. But the investigation of every policing resource in the capital suggests that Jigoku is already dead. So you find a body. How in the name of God did you find the man? He was located in France during the recess, at the port of Dunkirk. Literally 12 grand later. Yeah, that's expensive, but still sounds amazing. Thanks to one of Mr. Herlock Sholmes' famous deductions. Herlock Sholmes. Inspector Gregson almost certainly met with Mr. Jigoku on the night of his death, because along with Prosecutor Asogi, Gregson was on a mission to assassinate the man, supposedly. I think we might have to settle for the fact that Gregson really was on a mission to assassinate people. Now, I don't know anymore, or whether or not he was trying to infiltrate the group doing this and put a stop to it and catch the real Reaper red-handed. Pretty good, trying to pass the time waste, the time for the next hour. Holy fuck, thanks, autocorrect. I think I get what you're trying to say, though. You're trying to, you know, pass time for the next hour or so. Yeah. Yeah, trying to pass time for the next hour. We understood, though. That's all good. Which means that Seishiro Jigoku is the sole witness who can clarify exactly what happened aboard the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. A grave miscarriage of justice to end the trial now. Well, it would appear that it's too soon to move to adjudication at this point. We might get a bit more investigation out of this, yes. Prosecution concurs. The court must hear Mr. Jigoku's testimony. No judgment should be passed until all testimony has been considered. Then you're gonna pass out. Excellent. Go get yourself some rest. Have you had a rough bit of sleep or something, or just feeling generally run down? But absolutely, if you need some rest, go get it. I think a solid gold unicorn gavel would be improbable, yeah. He's using the staff, like the tip of his, the head of his walking cane that he has. It's really cool that he's banging, and I like the fact that they've changed the sound from wood hitting wood to like this metal clang. In that case, I hereby call the end of today's proceedings. Courts will reconvene at the same hour tomorrow. No objections from either side? No, my lord, I called for it. No objections, my lord. Anzax is thinking, do I have to say something? This is weird. Ooh, we live to fight another day by the skin of our teeth. Can we put his cane up his arse? At the end, yes, when we prove that he's the real villain here. Then we can do that. We sentence you to cane up the butt. So guys, as well, take a moment to go check the Discord announcements for the channel, if you haven't done so already. There's New Year's Eve stream news there. Just trying to fix your sleep schedule, literally incapable of sleeping so hour earlier every day for some goddamn reason. You're gradually going forward an hour every day. Oh, I hate when that happens. I've been there. I know how that feels. It's like you have to just eventually draw a line under it and say, fuck it. I am going to have to do this and force myself to get back on my usual track. Good old medieval punishment, a hot iron rod up the arse. Yep. An unexpected halt of proceedings sent a clamour around the courtroom. But outside the Bailey, where Londoners knew nothing of the secret trial within, it was a typical still night. Then at a little past 8 o'clock that evening, Mr. Sholmes and his partner returned to Baker Street. Oh, look at the food! I want some of that pie. What is it? It looks gorgeous. Oh. We have returned, my dear fellows. Welcome back to Britain, and thank you for your timely help. Think nothing of it. I believe you've had an even more wearing day than Mikotoba and I, no? You could say that. We were on the brink of defeating Court earlier. So this prosecutor Asogi had you on the ropes, did he? And he's your best friend, you say? Well, he's not really the man I knew in Japan anymore. Kazuma's changed, man. He used to be cool. Is that food for his daughters? Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I mean, it's incredible to think that he'd even entered into the idea of acting as the Reaper's assassin. Well, nevertheless, you must introduce me. After all, I've only ever met the young man as a corpse. And all this started almost a year ago now. Mr. Sholmes still hasn't told the truth about what really happened back then. About the motivation for why he himself described as the Great Detective's lie. Yeah, we still don't know why Sholmes put him off the ship at Hong Kong under the pretense of him being a dead body. You know, and he said he did it for his protection. We have no idea why he did that. Mother's getting pissed because you're sleeping all day and I'm getting lonely. Oh no. Like go attend an arts and crafts fair or something else old people do. Oh dear, yeah, I mean, it's not, if it's like, you know, if it's something you can fix by doing this, just get on with it and do it, you know. Other people will have to learn to wait. Now then, I must say, it's really quite a journey all the way to France. And back again. Well, it is another country, Mr. Sholmes, so... What news of Judge Jigoku? We took him to Scotland Yard, then the investigating detectives there have a lot of questions. Well, Professor Mikotoba. This must be quite a shock for him. Ah, yes, I picked this up at the telegraph office on our way home. What is it? Surely you haven't forgotten already. I put upon you for the matter only yesterday. Did you charge me for the train again? Oh no. You put upon me, Sholmes. I had to fill out your telegram to Japan and foot the bill as well. Oh no. Oh, you've had a reply already? What was so urgent though, Mr. Sholmes? Such matters can wait until later. I'm far too hungry for an involved conversation at present. Well, that's good news because supper is ready, everybody. We can see that. Heck yeah. And what a feast it is. If I were none the wiser, I'd think the trial were won already. Well, with this behind us, it will be. She's 60, I'm 18. What the fuck can we do that's similar? I checked, and I hate Candy Crush. Oh no. Yeah. Roast beef, kippers, stew, steak and kidney pie, Yorkshire puddings. Oh. Tomorrow could be a very long day, so eat up. Why are we not having breakfast? That's her subtle way of saying I'm not cooking tomorrow morning. Eat this now, this is the last meal you're going to get till tomorrow evening. In that case, I think I'll seat myself just here. This place appears to be the only one seat with a helping of pheasant as well. Oh, sorry Hurley, not there. Why ever not? Are we in set places this evening? Yes, and that place is for Susie's daddy. Not for me. That's right. I made it especially for you, Professor Mickey. Mickey. I see. Well, that's terribly kind of you, daughter. It's a shame, really. What do you mean? Well, for a brief moment I believed it. That Susie and I were half-sisters, I mean. Oh! Iris, do you mean... Yes, I know now. I overheard yesterday. I secretly listened to the whole conversation you had after I tricked you all into thinking I'd left. What? He's too stubborn to attempt a local co-op games that you own? Oh no. Half-sisters, such a plot twist. The misunderstanding arose because of that autopsy report from 10 years ago, but actually, it turned out that neither Dr. Wilson nor Professor Mikotoba are Iris's father. That's right, I remember now. We were wondering if it's Sholmes. Maybe Sholmes is, you know... The controller's too hard! If you can figure it out, fucking for, then I think you can do it. Yeah, it's a different way of thinking, though, for that generation. That's the thing, so... I mean, I was talking about this the other day when we were watching my 2-year-old nephew using an iPad. And it's like, you know, my 20-year-old niece was sat next to me as we were watching, and she was saying, like, I don't remember being like that at that age. And I'm like, no, you weren't really. Then again, I don't think we really had an iPad back then or anything touchscreen still. So it's just new technology people are growing up in. I mean, yeah, she's learned since, but, you know, my parents, they can't figure touchscreens out very well either, so it's just one of those things, I guess. My bet is Sholmes and Mikotoba are parents. Oh my god. Yeah, they're very modern, you know, they got married and then they adopted. That's it, and that's fantastic. I hope that's the case. I'm praying for it. Yes, about that, Iris. You know, I know. You can't tell me at the moment. Oh, Iris. Sholmes, just fucking tell the child. She wants to know who her father is. What if there was a Moriarty figure, though? Or... what if she's Genshin Asogi's daughter? That is the wrong oh, hang on, let me try that again. Sorry, that was not meant to be a festive thing. What if she's Genshin Asogi's daughter? There we go, that's better. We'll just cut that bit out. Had to buy her a new Chromebook because she thinks they're touchscreens and stabs the screen to death. Oh no. I think Sholmes as a detective wants her to deduct it herself. Possibly. That's a good point. It could be like one of those you'll find it out when you learn it. You know, like when you figure it out yourself. The pheasant is by way of an apology. I'm sorry for eavesdropping. Oh, no, that's quite alright. Then why don't I get any apologetic pheasant? So just who is Iris's father? I suppose that's not something we'll be finding out today. It would be freaking amazing if Genshin Asogi is the father. And that's why he's holding back. I can't think of any other reason why he would forbid her from looking into the whole Baskerville stuff either. So then, let us dine while our largely pheasantless plates are still piping hot. A fine idea, Sholmes. It all looks absolutely delicious. Eat as much as you like. There's always seconds. Except for pheasant. Only Mikotoba gets that, apparently. This could be our last chance to ask questions before tomorrow's trial. About that telegram from Japan and about Kazuma. I can't let this opportunity slip away. Okay, but where's Jigoku? He's at the police station, they just said. Oh, look at Sholmes is pouting. I want pheasant. How dare they not give me pheasant? But yeah, they said that they took Jigoku to the police station, so now he's being interrogated. Kitty Cat is very intensely making bread. Ooh! Yay, Monk! Hello! How's it going, Monk? Nice to see you, dude. Whales are better. You know, I agree, actually. Probably are. Alright, so let's examine this feast. Oh, we can't. Oh, there's ticks on everything. Alright, never mind. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you too, dude. Good to see you. Oh, I can only examine. Right, I'm like, why isn't it letting me do anything else? Are there people? I guess we can poke Sholmes. Pouty Sholmes. He's the only one here. Okay. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Buying the pheasant. Oh. Surely it's abundantly clear that I wasn't brooding over Mikotoba's refusal to share his pheasant with me. Nevertheless, I felt the need to withdraw from the social circle for a while and look on with hungry eyes. Yeah. Sorry, Hurley, but I cooked that pheasant especially for Susie's daddy. Even though I'd played the role of father for you for far longer. Mr. Sholmes, could I discuss some things with you? Certainly, my dear fellow. I find myself quite in the mood for a spell of conversation. No doubt you're hungry to learn more of my deep love of the game. I can probably contain my curiosity on that one. You needn't look at me in that fashion. What fashion? It seems that before we discuss the pheasant, we have some rather unpheasant matters to discuss. Alright. Telegram. So, what was the telegram you received from Japan then? Ah, this. I thank my lucky stars it arrived in time. Record found as indicated, duplicate follows. K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. That's again the list of names that was on the disc at the end of the first game. It was on the encrypted disc. And all but Kazuma on that list are dead. What the 4 names? We've come across that exact list before. They came up in that unforgettable case last spring. What appeared to be a simple case of aggravated murder turned out to be masking a monumental intrigue. A plot that involved the sale of British governmental secrets to foreign states. In exposing the means by which those secrets were being leaked, we deciphered a fragment of the message. May pass out earlier because I got stupid, cold and sleeping helps escape all my problems, one of which is being the cold. Absolutely, go get yourself some rest. You know, that's the best thing to do, especially with a cold. I always say sleep it away. Either feed it or sleep it away or do both. Huh? But yeah, so K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. So we know that A. Shin killed Wilson. We don't know who killed Gregson, we're trying to figure that out. We know that A. Shin was killed by a reporter over there in Japan who poisoned her out of spite, supposedly. But then he rambled on about how he knew about the covers up and he knew about all the secrets, or he felt that people needed to know that he knew that there was a cover-up of some kind going on around her being exported back to Britain. It's just that it hadn't happened yet. So she was still waiting to go back. Government secrets, those names, I think they also sold info about the professor. Possibly. So yeah, all of these people were involved in the professor case. Gregson was the investigating officer, Wilson was the autopsy specialist that figured out whatever pointed to Genshin Asogi. A. Shin supposedly was the Reaper's assassin, but the Reaper wasn't on the scene back then, so I'm not sure how she fits in, and K. Asogi is the son. And all of them, apart from Gregson, were in Japan at some point or another. Because A. Shin was a student over there, learning about biology, supposedly. Under Professor Mikotoba and Wilson as well. There's something we're still to figure out exactly how all that links in, but we'll see. Like, we don't know who was buying that information and what they plan to do with it, is the main thing. But it was all in Japanese, that was the other thing. It was in Japanese Morse code. So... yeah. We didn't find the names out until the case was over, and we never did get to the bottom of what they meant. All we knew was that the information had been sent by someone in the British government to somebody in Japan. What if it was meant for Jigoku? What if he was supposed to be the recipient of that information? We know that Magnus McGilded was handling the movement of the information. You know, he was the one who was buying it to pass it along. So why are the names coming up again now? Yes, where did the sender of your telegram discover them, Mr. Sholmes? I have here the message I had wired yesterday. Allow me to read it to you. Enter Judge Jigoku's office undetected and investigate telegram records. Expect to find communication from Britain dated 1 year ago. List of 4 names. Need by tomorrow. Naruhodo. I sent it to a detective I know who specializes in clandestine missions of this nature. Hosonaga? Oh, please tell me that was Detective Hosonaga. Oh, that would be great. Yeah, he's a master of disguise. Yeah. Yep, there he is. You asked Inspector Hosonaga to undertake such an onerous task for you? And in my name? I wonder what guise he opted for this time. Obviously not a sea turtle. My dear fellows, it was a matter of great urgency, you understand? Anyway, list of names was found in Seishiro's office, as Sholmes predicted. Interesting, so he wanted that list of names. So you mean that mysterious collection of names that was sent from Britain to Japan was... It was sent to Judge Jigoku. He was the intended recipient? Believe it. So he was buying information. But that doesn't answer the question of what the list of names actually signifies. How does Eishin fit into that? Because all the other people... Well, actually, no. Kazuma wasn't involved in the Professor case, so... Because the thing is, he might want to know a list of names of involved parties surrounding the Professor case, because he was adamant that his friend Genshin Asogi was innocent. But Kazuma was just his son, so why would he even be on that list? Eishin was probably just a little kid as well at the time. She was a young lady. He's about our character's age. I did formulate a hypothesis about that. But without a shred of evidence, I couldn't possibly have shared it. Sholmes looks deadly serious for once. The telegram from Japan entered into the court record. Have an actual gander at that. Record found as indicated duplicate follows K. Asogi, Eishin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson, Hoss. What about Kazuma's death? That tragedy we had to go through on the SS Buria? It was all for nothing. Kazuma wasn't dead at all. We were completely taken in by the lie you told us. Your great detective's lie. I'm not happy with you. I took no pleasure in deceiving you. However, at the time, all that concerned me was preventing the young man's study tour from taking place, whatever the cost. But I capitalized on the events that transpired to see that he was sent back to Japan. His remains, you mean? Precisely, Miss Susato. And then I made sure that somebody else was sent to Britain in his stead. Oh my, you mean... The arrangement between our two countries was already in place. One university student's lawyer and one judicial assistant to be accommodated on a study tour. In other words, by arranging for someone else to fill the place originally intended for Mr. Asogi. I would successfully prevent the man from arriving on our shores for several years at least. Wait, do you mean to say that it was all in aid of stopping Kazuma coming to Britain? That's why you... I mean, we know that anyway. We kind of figured that he did that to stop him getting to England, but why? Think back, Mr. Naruhodo. Was there not somebody who quite casually urged you to continue the voyage on to England? Terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there's no one else with the necessary qualification, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. The voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. So, you manipulated me. I've often remarked on the extraordinary lengths to which friendship will drive a man. I was quite sure that you would rise to the challenge for your late friend. I don't believe it. But if it was all contrived... I mean, what happened was treated by the authorities as murder. The woman was mistakenly arrested as the perpetrator. What do you suppose became of her? Naturally, I didn't allow the misapprehension to have any serious repercussions. I subsequently explained everything and assisted the unfortunate soul in finding the foreign refuge she sought. I seem to remember Miss Susato had some rather strong words for her. Well, she was certainly not devoid of all guilt. She deserved every word, I'm sure. I wonder if she made it to America then. I'm afraid I simply cannot comprehend it. Why would you go to such lengths, Mr. Sholmes? Why are you so determined to stop Kazuma-sama from reaching Britain? Did he know what would happen because of the whole Genshin Asogi? It's like, damn, this is his kid and he's gonna come to England, he's gonna fucking, you know, stomp on all the anthills and kick all the beehives and, you know, just cause so much shit to happen. Hey Zeke, hello, how's it going? Nice to see you. Come on in. We're on the last part of the game now. I'm really hoping we'll finish it today. And then we can move on to Yakuza Like a Dragon, which we're going to do on Friday. Yes! The truth is, 12 months ago, there was already a very tangible omen of the impending tragedy, you see. Oh? We never did ask why was Sholmes in Japan, to begin with. Like, why did he travel all the way out east? Because he was on his way back to London. We never asked him what he was doing away from London to begin with. An omen that, at this very moment in time, is close at hand. An omen of all these tragic events that already existed a year ago. It's close at hand? We need to find out exactly what Mr. Sholmes knows. He works in mysterious ways, mostly because for giggles and shits. Yes, he does. An omen that's close at hand of those tragic events. What could possibly have been an omen? Like a year ago at that as well. Is there something in here that is an omen? Is that what he means by close at hand? It's inside this room. Pheasant? The armband? Never really examined this, did we? I'm right in thinking that these scales are a symbol of the defense of defense in law, aren't they? They're supposed to symbolize treating everything equally and fairly. That's why they're always in the middle of balanced, equal measure on both sides. Recently, though, whenever I see a set of scales, I can only think of enormous scales of justice. Eric Guy, hello! Nice to see you. How are you? Come on in. I hope you're doing well. How's life treating you today? The armband because of strong heart. Yeah, but how would that be an omen of... I mean, this is the Japanese thingy. You know, this is the Japanese student's armband, right? So, This is the one that Kazuma had. How would it have been an omen that things were about to go very bad a year ago that caused Sholmes to put things in motion now? The thing about the scales of justice is they're always leaning one way or the other. They're only ever in balance right at the start. It must be something peculiar to the British. I'm afraid I can't shed any light on it, Mr. Naruto. Oh, hey. His name on the inside. Very fine embroidery here shows the name of the armband's owner. In this case, Kazuma Asogi. I'm always carrying my best friend's hopes and dreams on my right arm just here all the time. To be honest, it's something that weighs very heavily on me. Didn't realize it was such a burden, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I think it's why my right shoulder aches so much. Are you sure that's not to do with your reading in bed or the like? Huh? A year ago there was an omen. I think we have to present it to him to move on. Or could it have been the fact that this list of names was making its way there to begin with? Maybe Sholmes was following the trail of this information going to Judge Jigoku. Heavy armband? Is there something inside? Yes. Kazuma's soul. Let's talk to him about this. There was no room for doubt with your instructions in the telegram, Mr. Sholmes. You were very clear that it was Judge Jigoku's office that should be searched, so he knew. He knew about the Jigoku connection, right? He obviously knew that's where the list of names would be found, where it was going. Kei Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, J. Wilson. We only learnt of those 4 names just over 6 months ago now. And only because they appeared as part of a top-secret government communications that were leaked. That's true, yes. But at the time, you were unaware of the background. You see, those 4 names were wired to Japan. Around 6 months before that, approximately this time last year in fact, when you were both still in Japan. Yes, that's right, because when we found it, it's not like it hadn't been sent yet. It's a communication that had already happened, had been then copied, and was going to be sold to someone else. That's right. Those discs weren't meant for Jigoku. They were meant for somebody else. Somebody else wanted to know that list of names as well. Or it was just information that was collected because it could be worth something to somebody. So the message has already been sent, the original one. This was a duplicate to be sold to foreigners. So it was the list of names. That was the omen. It really would be hypocrisy on my part to reprove others for intercepting state secrets. Because after all, I'm perpetually eavesdropping on communications between the British and Japanese governments. Oh, what? You're perpetually doing what? How? Never mind the details, but you should know. No secret is safe from Sherlock Sholmes, when he has designs on knowing it. Oh my, Mr. Sholmes, what a fabulous line! Now, 1 month after the list of 4 names was wired to the recipient, Jigoku in Japan, Dr. John H. Wilson was murdered. As soon as I learnt of the incident, a hypothesis rapidly took shape in my mind. As it turned out, I was partially correct and partly mistaken. Nevertheless, it was the beginning of all the tragic events that were to follow. Mr. Sholmes, please, tell us all you know. Tell us about the 4 names and the tragedy to which they're somehow connected. Well, we know that A. Shin is the assassin, who was supposedly doing the Reaper killings. So she was then sent to Japan and killed Dr. Wilson, who was the coroner on the whole Professor case. So this was a bit of a cover-up. Jones, I am scared about you knowing anything because of how you'll misuse it or blabber it out. Oh god, yes. Nothing, it's not so much that no information is safe from him. A secret isn't safe, from him to anybody. Because they will all learn it eventually. So tell me of the 4 names. As I said, when I learnt of Dr. Wilson's murder in Japan, my mind immediately turned to those 4 names, because you see, there was someone else on the list, who I believe to be recently deceased. What? Who? A Shin, as it was transcribed in the Japanese script. In actual fact, Miss Asa Shin. That was a familiar name to me. She was a professional killer, well known among London's unsavoury classes. I see. But she had completely vanished from existence several months before Wilson's murder. She was already on the way to kill Wilson. So I came to the logical conclusion that she had herself been killed, and accordingly became fearful for the lives of the remaining 2 persons on the list. Ah, Kei Asogi and T. Gregson. Owing to our proximity, I decided to take measures to protect Gregson myself, but I determined it would be safest if young Asogi were to stay away from Britain. Ah, that's why you went to such lengths to prevent his study tour from going ahead. As it turns out, A Shin was in Japan, masquerading as Giselle Brett. So he would have sent Kazuma back into her waiting fucking arms. So well done, Sholmes. He didn't think, oh, because a famous killer vanished, her name is on the list, and Wilson is killed, then, that's in Japan. Maybe I'll send this guy back to Japan as well, where one of the people on this list was already killed. Yeah, and the joke of Asian sounds like Asian. I picked up on that as well. But then with the Asashin being assassin as well, so it's like they've done 2 ways of playing on the name. It's pretty cool. Especially since the fact that she was also supposed to be a British woman. So yeah. A professional killer calls herself assassin, just written in a weird way, right? Nobody will ever know. But that's why he went to such lengths to prevent the study tour from going ahead. Exactly. So you already knew who Kazuma-sama was, Mr. Sholmes? Oh yes, Sholmes and I have exchanged correspondence for years. I recounted many tales about Asogi to him in my letters, and the news of Dr. Wilson's death, of course. Well, Dr. Wilson is dead then. I didn't know. Oh, Iris. Shit, you're still here. We didn't clear that bit up with you, did we? I know he wasn't my daddy, but still, that's very sad. Well, I mean, she thought that a guy called Dr. John H. Wilson was her father for so many years now. So... Oh, I'm so sorry, Iris. We knew the significance of the name, obviously, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to tell you. No. What you just told us, Mr. Sholmes, doesn't completely tie in with the facts. There's one big hole in the hypothesis. A big hole, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes. You mean about Asashin, I presume. Oh, of course. Exactly. She wasn't killed, was she? She was in Japan, posing as a visiting student under the assumed name of Giselle Brett. I'm glad you're keeping up, my dear fellow, but I only became aware of that fact 2 days ago in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel. Ah! And upon hearing that startling revelation, the hypothesis that I formed surrounding those 4 names was completely turned topsy. What, topsy? No turvy with it? Goodness. Case 2 Sholmes was always the 5-head. It's not like there was a lack of Asian people in Britain back then. The opium market was booming. I mean, London does, like I said before, London has a Chinatown. It's near Soho, I've never actually been. What do you mean when you say your hypothesis was turned topsy, Mr. Sholmes? I had believed all 4 names on the list to be the names of victims, however, I was mistaken. Very much so. Asashin was a killer. Though this telegram is a list of both victims and killers, isn't it? What if they're paired up? No. Not side by side, but top to bottom. Because don't the Japanese read that way? Like they read down? Like that, right? They read from the right side of the page to the left, and they read down, usually. Like traditionally, anyway. I think they do it both ways now, like, but traditionally, they wrote down, didn't they? So, A. Shin is above J. Wilson, as in, A. Shin kills J. Wilson, assigned to kill. Kei Asogi assigned to kill Gregson. Maybe. You could read it like that. Ooh. Because A. Shin did kill J. Wilson and tried to frame Naruhodo for it. And we know Asogi paired up with Gregson and came to Dunkirk, supposedly to kill Jigoku. What if that was to lure Gregson out? Kill him. Oh, so many layers. Indeed, and it would seem that Miss Shin was dispatched from Britain with the sole intention of dispatching Mr. Wilson. See, he's figured it out as well. There we go. Their visiting student status being merely a front. Ah! Which would of course explain why no motive could be determined for her actions. But the real reason Dr. Wilson was killed by Asashin is because he was the target of an assassination? Why? And forearmed with that knowledge, fresh consideration of this telegram puts the list in a very different perspective. What do you mean? Well, does it not strike you? There's another among the four, who subsequently became a visiting student. Yeah. Asogi was supposed to visit England and kill Gregson as a visiting student. Hello, Serena SMG. Hey, it's Mikatober in a tuxedo. He looking dapper, right? He looks good. Come on in, welcome to the channel. Wait, you mean... But of course, a name you know only too well. You mean Kazama? Oh! He did say in court earlier today. Yes, on the 31st of October I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. There was some subtext here, yeah. I wondered and didn't say anything. I just thought, what if he was supposed to be killing Gregson? He's telling the truth, but he's pointing the truth at the wrong person. We were supposed to kill Jigoku. He's like, no, I went to kill the Mark. Not Jigoku, the Mark. His Mark was Gregson. You think all your life that Sherlock is just a plank and then this case rolls around and he decides to buckle his belt? Yes, exactly. I said that often through this game. He's such an imbecile. He's getting so many things wrong, so many half-baked conclusions we have to correct for him. And I said, that is not the real Sherlock. Up here, where he's really working, he's sharp as a whip. And then he plays the buffoon to cover that shit up. And I was right. He does that. He's actually much smarter, because sometimes he would just have a thing ready to go, like, oh, by the way, you'll need this, bye, and run away, like he gave us the court records that one time of for the professor. He gave us the professor's, like, autopsy stuff and just fucked off. And it's like, how did he know that we would need this today before we even knew? Because he's functioning up there. That's for sure. And yeah, the music's great, Erikai. They've done a good job with this still. Young Mr. Asogi accepted that mission a year ago now. That would mean Jigoku was probably the one either organizing this or cooperating with it. Surely not. In conclusion, this document is a contract of sorts. An international agreement, one might say, detailing an assassin exchange. Assassin exchange? How could Kazuma possibly have gotten involved in something like that? Let's assume that we have two parties each wishing to dispose of a distinct individual. Those two parties make a contract to swap their respective assassination targets. That would then be an assassin exchange. So to begin with, the British assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Japan where she kills her target. And then, the Japanese assassin is dispatched as a visiting student to Britain in order to eliminate his target. Thoughts on the Seishiro Sling? The Seishiro Sling. I don't know what you mean by that. The whole game is a masterpiece, hell yeah. Does that mean Sholmes was just teaching us how to be proper sleuths ourselves in the courtroom to legally expose the truth? Yes, pretty much. He behaves dumb in order to encourage us to think smarter. And then, right there to, like, you know, applaud us on afterwards. I mean, you'll notice when we've been correcting his very wrong deductions, he knows when we get it wrong again, when we're trying to point to the right correction, and we pick a wrong thing. How would he know it's wrong? The first case of the second game where Jigoku tosses Raiten many memo. Oh, that one! Yes, the where he flips him over. Absolutely, yeah. That was fun. I quite like that. I liked Jigoku as a character, actually, so it's now making me feel really bad that he might actually have some villainous intent. And when you think about it, if they did an assassin exchange, who could be on the other end of this? We know that Strongheart is suspect. We know he's some other shit going on with him. And we also know from earlier on yesterday, Jigoku was paired up with male Strongheart to study the justice system from that perspective. So they were together. They formed a bond, I think. It's hard to be right, but Sholmes is so smart he knows how to play dumb. Perfectly put. I like it. And thank you for the new follow, Serenum SMG. Welcome. Good to have you here. I think we're one follower away now from 700 followers. Damn. Maybe before the new year. So it does sound like an exchange. But what on earth is the point? Like, if they both had an assassin, why not use someone else? Don't forget, Naruhodo, the British assassin, at least escaped conviction. There's the point. Let's say that. I thought, actually, thanks to, yes, diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction. And of course, the two ministers of fucking justice on both sides of the pond making that deal. It was because of Jigoku that Giselle Brett, Ace Assassin, could go back to England and not face charges in Japan. The same would happen for Kazuma. He would go back to Japan and not face charges in England. And then neither of them would face the music in their native country. They would probably be set up somewhere else and it would all be ignored. It's Serena? Oh, Serena. Okay. Do apologize. Thanks to diplomatic immunity afforded by consular jurisdiction. Yes. Such jurisdiction should be null and void under the terms of a new treaty between our two countries. So the fact that it was brought into play suggests intervention at the very highest levels. The highest levels, like Jigoku and Strongheart. These murders were two sides of the same coin, linked not by a common motive but by a contractual agreement. As such, they appeared utterly unrelated, yet in truth, the assassins were complicit in one singular devilish scheme. That dissociation and the safeguard of diplomatic immunity were, I believe, in motion behind this plot. But wait a minute, Sholmes. If this telegram really is describing an exchange of assassins as you're suggesting, it would mean that the Japanese killer's target was never Seishiro Jigoku at all. It would mean Asogi's target was actually Inspector Gregson. Nani? Kazuma was here for Gregson? Well done for catching up, Ryu. So slow. So slow. So, Judge Jigoku wasn't actually the mark. Yes, that's exactly what it would mean. I hold myself personally responsible for failing to keep the inspector safe. Mr. Sholmes. I told him of my fears and implored him to seek a transfer to an overseas position. That's why he was going to go to France. Obviously, with the young pickpocket in tow. Gina was supposed to be his +1 for going to France. Oh. Come to think of it, Inspector Gregson did mention that to us at the Great Exhibition, that he'd be transferring to the Paris police and taking Gina with him. But without informing me, he engaged in one last assignment, it seems, and sadly, it turned out to be his very last. This is too much to take in. What if Strongheart sent Gregson under the impression that he was supposed to escort Jigoku to England safely? And it was really a trap to put him in place to kill him. Alright everyone, that's quite enough of all that serious talk for one day. Isn't it, Hurley? I mean, look at the time. Don't think Gina could take the pain of another death in first person. Poor Gina. I know, right? Like, oh. Ah, quite right, Iris. We must conclude our preparations for tomorrow. What preparations? Well, I think I shall make my way back to my hotel room now. This has certainly been a night to remember. It is a little bit sad, though. I mean, I like the idea of you being my daddy. God. Just give the man a heart attack. Because then Susie would be my big sister. Look at the unbridled panic in those eyes, like, oh god. I'm sorry, Iris. Like, but you can still be her sister, you know? Just call yourselves sisters, it's all cool. I know, Iris, I was thinking quite the same thing. Were you? But if somebody like me would be worthy, then I would be delighted to become your sister. What? Really? Oh yes, without question. So, you'll teach me all the ways you know to throw Runo to the floor? Wait, what? No. Yes, of course. It would be my pleasure. No! You didn't have to agree quite so readily. What the hell? Hey, Sam, hello! How are you? Happy Tuesday. Oh, but wait a minute. If Susie's going to be my big sister, you could be my big brother if you want, Runo. Huh? I mean, yes, of course. If you'll have me, I'll gladly be your brother. Well done, Iris. We must always be mindful of feelings. I've raised you so well. Because being so sensitive is your strong suit, naturally. Right, I'm going to work extra hard for tomorrow now, because it's for my big brother and sister. Oh. What is all this talk about preparing for tomorrow? Preparing what? Hehe. You'll just have to wait and see. Oh. Okay then. Good looking court tomorrow. I'm expecting a sterling performance. I'll do my very best, of course. I'm good. Back on the work grind. Nose to the grindstone, hey? So the overnight break in the trial's proceedings became a crucial turning point, exposing new truths while posing new conundrums. That list of 4 names on the telegram in Judge Jigoku's office, and the extraordinary assassination plot in which my best friend had somehow become involved. I felt as though I'd been plunged into an even greater darkness all of a sudden, but at the same time, I felt sure I would see the light again soon. Personally, I don't find the joke of the running joke of throwing Naruhodo for the sake of taking the piss to even be remotely humorous. It's like randomly kicking a dog. I mean, it kind of is, yeah. I mean, it was kind of funny at first where she kept tossing him to the ground on the SS Burrier because don't you try and escape, because she had a reason then, you know. Because I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful family in the world standing steadfastly behind me. But I can see how the joke kind of developed there, but yeah. One of these days he's gonna do that and the horn on that unicorn is gonna just ping right the fuck off. Fly across the courtroom and hit somebody in the eye. And then it won't be funny. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the close trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery of a respected Scotland Yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve. Yes, that's my intention. My lord, if I may inquire. The defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. You shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that the judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. Did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of the trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. And you find Strongheart highly disturbing. Yes, I've found him disturbing since the day we met him. Yes, because Asogi didn't kill someone. Yeah, that's right. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. Ready to be punished, lewd. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted the prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume? Nah. Oh, I mean, yes. Yes, my lord. Yeah. All good. Cool. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearings of Barak van Zykes. Zykes or whatever. The defense is ready, my lord. I didn't ask. Oh, the prosecution is more than ready. Very well then, this preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Yeah, it's probably Zeeks, I've been told, but I've been pronouncing it as Zykes since the beginning of the game. So, and every time I hear Zykes, I think of Scooby-Doo. Zykes, Scoob! You know, so, I don't know. It just kind of stuck. I can't change it now. Bring Seishiro Jigoku to the courtroom. At last then, Reach the final battle. Zoinks! Yeah. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryu, it's time for that steely resolve. This is going to test the limit. I mean, look at that beard. That's fucking awesome. Like a fucking pipe organ. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Huh. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena? I did what was necessary. Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you'd take that tone with me, I must say. Yes, it's like, answer the question, Jigoku. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Seishiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he's also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Again, because that's not a gross, you know, like, conflict of interest. Yeah, even Strongheart, like, bitch slapped him, right? It's like, dude, seriously, don't fuck around in here, this is my court. I am, of course, fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Ah! It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put all of that into put it all into that treaty. Well, whatever. Too late, it's gone. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never fancy the young murdering student turning up here of all places. Oh, great. You acquitted me yourself, and now I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this, and I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was invited a guest may be questionable etiquette, but my decision is unrelated to the case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. So you would run from all of this? I beg your pardon? This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. One that you sat in. A year ago in Japan, the murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right, and you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. We have the telegram. Well, Ryu, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end too. Let's see your evidence then. What proof do you have that Seishiro Jigoku is involved in the case? It's gonna be the telegram.
Take that!
Yes, let's slap some evidence down. Back with tea since that's such a dramatic case, yes. This is a telegram detailing communications sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: Kei Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. Little Oh, don't break it again, dude. You're gonna break it. Stop that. Do you want to pay for another bench? Where did you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you... Oh, just flew there. We have planes. Oh wait, no, this is the olden days. What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? It is a list of 4 names that follow a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. K. Asogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins. No. A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The Swan Lady. A culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett. But her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. Eyes for sure, but still not buying it he is behind the murders. We'll see. A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. The assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson. K. Asogi and T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of an assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. What? Nani? But then who sent the telegram? Strongheart. Yes. Because he and Jigoku must have been... If Jigoku received this, then someone had a reason to send it to him. Someone with a connection to him. And that someone would be Strongheart, because he was working with Strongheart when he came as a student. He was assigned to him, so at some point they must have made a pact. The question is, what were they doing? Like, why kill Wilson and Gregson? They were both instrumental in the Professor case, but why now, 10 years later, when nobody was even digging into it? Nobody gave a shit anymore. Just part of, you know, the sordid backdrop of London, part of its history, you know, like Jack the Ripper and that kind of thing. Why then 10 years later go ahead and start rubbing people out? I mean, you know, killing them, not... I'm going to rephrase that. Why start crossing people off a list now? The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. Exactly, that's why nobody was digging into the case, so it's a good time. I mean, maybe. Maybe. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Judge Jigoku? What's all this about? And you, Kazuma, you lied. You liar. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract. Very impressive, Reed. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. You lied by omission, it's still a lie. The idea that Seishiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. Ah. You deliberately avoided saying a name. Either way, you still haven't disproven what I've just said. The defense claims that the 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse. Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. The refuse would be put you in contempt of court. There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. Kazuma doesn't lie, just doesn't tell the whole truth. You can't handle the truth. Sorry. Hiding a truth that might shake the foundations of power in Her Majesty the Queen's courtroom. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st of October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. Wow. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. Wow, he's literally confessing. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. The SS Buria. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. We can fuck that up because of that notice from the crew. So, wait, so the murder happened on Halloween? Spoopy. Did they celebrate Halloween in the Victorian days, though? I don't think they necessarily did. I don't know. Not in England, anyway. I'd have to look that up. I wonder when Halloween started becoming actually a thing here. Hello, Nanny! Doing good, how are you? Come on in. If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. Well, we know that they stuffed the voice pipe thing with a cloth, probably to cover up the sound of a gunshot, and we know that the crew were on the upper deck at the time, running evacuation drills. Sorry I'm late, had to get groceries, no problem. Gregson had a choice, treat or threat, and he didn't have treats at hand. Very integral to being alive. Yes, absolutely. Explain the plot so far. Yeah, we'll catch you up then, Nanny. So, since the last case, you were here when we were on the SS Grouse, right? Where we caught up with Judge Jigoku, and we found him hidden in the luggage. I'm pretty sure you were kind of there. Trick, no idea what I was actually saying. Yeah. So anyway, we found Judge Jigoku in the SS Buria's luggage, you know, in his luggage on the SS Buria. That was all thanks to Sholmes and Mikotoba. What we've found out since, we've had a little bit of a scene with Herlock Sholmes. We've gone over another day. We've delayed the court proceedings until they could bring Jigoku back with them, and Mael Strongheart agreed. So since then, we've had a little talk with Herlock Sholmes. Now, he also, before they left, sent a telegram to Japan to Inspector Hosonaga from Japan, from the previous cases, asking if he could sneak into Jigoku's office and look for a list of names: Kazuma Asogi, or Kei Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. And Hosonaga had replied, in the meantime, saying he found that very same list of names, and here they are, in Judge Jigoku's office. Now, this was from the end of the first game. This was the communication that had, like a stolen duplicate of a top-secret communication between the British Empire and Japan, because this was in Japanese Morse code. And someone had duplicated it and they were going to sell it off. But we never knew what this list meant. Now what we've figured out is, if you read it, like, above and below, A. Shin and J. Wilson. So A. Shin killed J. Wilson in Japan as a visiting student. She was masquerading as Giselle Brett. Kei Asogi was supposed to come to England as a visiting student and kill Tobias Gregson. So we figured that out, and that this was some kind of international exchange of assassins, and that both people at the top level who were doing this, Jigoku being their foreign minister in Japan, and Mael Strongheart being the Minister of Justice here in Britain, they could both make sure that the other assassin doesn't get tried under their courts because of, you know, diplomatic immunity issues, and would be instead deported back to their own country, and then the opposite number would make sure they never stood trial. It was like a little agreement. So now we're putting Jigoku over the coals here in court to figure out what really happened. So that was one thing we found out. We also tried the small component we found in Jigoku's luggage, the little crown, which was the device for changing the time on a pocket watch. We tried it against Gregson's watch and found out it fits. So we can put Gregson in that luggage box. And we know that the SS Grouse probably has a big freezer. So that's why Gregson didn't start to decompose. He was stuffed in the freezer overnight. And they staged the whole thing with his body later. And I guess they decided to just get rid of... we're not entirely sure why they're trying to frame Barrett Van Zykes, but I guess they're just trying to get rid of him. Put an end to the Reaper thing, you know, like, cap that off. Done, it's run its course, move on. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So yeah, and we've already laid that down with that telegram and said, here we go, this is a list of assassins, and we've pointed the finger at Asogi, and he said, oh, I never said I was going to kill anybody, I didn't mention the name of a target. So he's trying to dodge everything there. But I still think that Jigoku and Strongheart are behind this. But Asogi still seems to be playing dumb. He's kind of playing dumb on the whole thing, which is a bit weird to see. So you admit it then. As this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels. Not something I can discuss here. Use such a worthy practice as a foreign study to coerce someone to commit murder? It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Oh, and also we've determined that yes, Mikotoba isn't actually Iris's father, but Susato and Iris are now sisters anyway, because they decided to choose to be sisters, and it was the most adorable thing. And apparently also Ryu got dragged into it. He's also now her big brother. He's like, oh yeah, sure. You know, so that's the thing. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge. Pardon? Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? I mean, we know Gregson was the officer that supposedly, you know, figured out that Genshin Asogi, his father, was the professor, the killer. We know that Gregson figured that out. And we know that Wilson was also the coroner who did the autopsy on Clint Van Zykes, and gathered that piece of evidence to begin with. What if it was all faked? What if that's where this is going, that they lied? Yeah, they adopted each other as sisters. It was cute. So cute. Kazuma-sama. Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obligated to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I killed no one. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassination exchange that the defense has identified as unrelated to the events of the case. Bullshit. He may have backed out, because he did say he stayed at an inn, and his name would be on the guest register. You know, and he stayed in Dunkirk for the night, and came back the next day. We could potentially get our hands on those records, so he wouldn't lie if he knew that we could disprove that. But what if Jigoku is the one who killed Gregson? Because I can only imagine as well that Kazuma would have killed Gregson with his sword, not shot him. That's the only other thing that's been rattling around in my brain. Crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk, because if he had been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Bharat Van Zykes. No sword wounds, no. The autopsy shows it was a gunshot. But we do know Kazuma may have tried to kill Gregson, because his sword did break off on Gregson's luggage. So maybe he swung the sword and Gregson deflected with the luggage, and then maybe Kazuma ran. He might not have backed out, he may have failed, then went on the run, and then maybe Jigoku came in and shot Gregson anyway. We'll see. Prosecution's accusations remains unchanged. Or swung the sword, no idea for what reason and at who. I don't know, maybe. We'll see. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such a Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and a high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. He's looking at us like, dude, this was your fucking idea, don't you dare. Be that as it may, it's not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We're only concerned with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Well, yes. I haven't done anything but that. Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. So, I think I know what we need to, what we can use to disprove what statement. When he said that there's no way because the crew would have heard something, we can use the notice that was found for the evacuation itinerary drill for the SS Grouse on the 31st of October. So this was actually in the garbage, in the cabin that they found Jigoku in when he went back to Dunkirk on the same ship. He may have just kept that cabin booked for a return journey for all we know, from him having booked his way out to begin with. Which is why the cabin was probably never cleaned, because the same guest was still assigned to it. Therefore, this was still there. So, the crew members were supposed to assemble on the main deck at 10 PM to review evacuation procedures. It'll take about 20 minutes and then all crew resumed duties that had 20 minutes to commit a murder and hide the body, without any crew being able to see or hear it. It's true that Asogi was assigned to the assassination mission. Okay. A year ago when Kazuma was still in Japan then. Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached him. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said. You just came out and asked me forthright if I'd consider traveling to Britain on an assassination mission. Surely not. I thought it was a joke at first, of course, but then it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I wouldn't be considered for the study tour. So you agreed to it just like that? I mean, I know how much you wanted to study in England, but assassination? The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time, an agreement to send a student from each country to the other to deepen cultural understandings and friendship. But behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart. Why? Why didn't you expose the plot there and then? Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations, Foreign Minister Jigoku. As a witness, I am bound to tell the truth, my lord. Anyway, I picked Asogi and explained the details of the plan to him. Alright, so the target was Gregson. Why Kazuma? Why did you pick him as the assassin? He was the most capable of all the applicants. In addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire. It was his whole purpose in life, as he wanted to find out what happened to his dad. As his best friend, I can certainly attest to that. And Jigoku would have known that as well. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming as qualified as a lawyer. But it was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain. And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Asogi. There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin or betraying people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asogi. But why was Inspector Gregson the target? I have no idea. Those were the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have no idea? Really? I find that hard to believe. Oh, do you? Judge Jigoku was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time. The defense really ought to catch up. With what? With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Asogi. I like how they're like, no, this assassin exchange doesn't have anything to do with this case. This case is about who killed Inspector Gregson. You mean the target of the assassin exchange? Right. But the assassin exchange has nothing to do with the case. It kinda fucking does, doesn't it? It's like, if you know, go drink driving and run someone over and kill them, you can't then say to the judge, well, my drinking has nothing to do with this. This is all about my car hitting that guy. You know, but the drinking had nothing to do with it. That's different. The drinking happened in the pub. What? Yes. Stupidity. This is such a mess. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love that. It's nice. It'd be lovely to be able to pick and choose what things actually matter and what don't, you know? Yeah. In the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out the mission. Yeah, we know that that was the SS Buria, where he met with an unfortunate accident. I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Kazuma's passage to Great Britain. Yeah, someone had an assassin to take his life. Nah, that's not related to his death. Exactly, yeah. Kind of tedious as well, to be honest. You've pretty much hit on how these court cases go. There's like the nitpicking that goes on makes it very tedious, and you're like, how can we be talking around the point that we all know, you know, before we finally get to the matter at hand, or we point something out that is incontrovertible and then they say, no, I don't accept that, and then the judge is like, yes, I don't either, let's carry on, and we have to pull it back on course. It's like, it's frustrating at times. You're like, in a real courtroom that wouldn't fly. But anyway, the awful tragedy that took place on the steamship. Word arrived at the ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. A visiting student had been killed, but his body had somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. The news was wired from a detective I'd placed on the ship to accompany the assassin. Obviously, Kazuma didn't actually die at all, but he did lose his memory, including details of his special mission. Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible, simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as Asogi's replacement, and there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain. Unrelated to Jigoku if he is arguing anything, yeah. That's not a real courtroom, it's all a stage play written by Strongheart, exactly. My hands were completely tied. So Mr. Sholmes' strategy worked perfectly. He predicted everything that would happen. Months later, my memory returned, but I had never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So you were playing me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than taking someone else's life. I was prepared to do whatever I had to do in order to get myself here to Britain. This line of questioning has gone on long enough. All the court should be concerned about in the testimony given by the witness are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I have no connection to the man nor his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea. Member of crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. Bullshit. You knew they weren't. Let's press it. We'll go through all of them, then we'll come back to that and use the thingy statement, the notice. Outside your cabin in the first class area of the SS Grouse, you mean? Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger earlier in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to positioning a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of the crewman guard myself. What do you mean? Because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night. I witnessed with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness cabin. Chicken Stroganoff. Good old Chicken Stroganoff. Oh, and his brother, Biff Stroganoff. At that particular time, of course, I'd gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Jigoku to return. Just like that, that's all that, yeah, that happened, did it? Right, bullshit. I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as the Reaper. He was intending to take the witness's life. Yeah, come on. Chicken is not reliable. He's not, is he? He's not a reliable guy. Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I have no intention of killing anyone. But the crewman let two potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding. Not the most convincing of sentries, really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while, and then I left him there and made my way off the ship alone. Was the guard still at the door when you went? Yes. He glared at me as I walked past. See, that proves it. If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. Hold it! The crewman who was standing directly outside of your cabin door, you mean? That's right. A muscular man with a permanent grim expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. Yeah, they left him there, yeah. That's it. He just walked out and left Gregson there. Like, well, he wasn't going to do the deed himself. There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard that. But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them! It could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired. Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash. Oh? You'll recall my cabin was in the first-class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the quietest. Don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like the steerage where the judicial assistants go. Oh, I didn't mean... I don't ride where you plebs ride. But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Jigoku. That's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. What's that? A bullet hole? Yes, you're talking about what Detective uncovered on the wall yesterday, I presume. That was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet. There's the hole in this argument. Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot, and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true. The witness's logic is sound. Since no gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question, we must assume the witness is telling the truth. I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord. Yes, rotten panel. It just happened to rot in a perfectly circular hole. Hey, Star-Crossed Mage! Yeah, we're on the last chapter. We're closing in on the ending now. We'll probably finish this game today. Yeah, it's the last one, Urena. I think we're going to be finishing by the end of the stream today, no doubt. Or maybe just a little bit after or a little bit before, so this will be the last bit of Great Ace Attorney. I know Chasm has already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by someone else is still a real shock. It's unforgivable, using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan. But I think Kazuma manipulated Judge Jigoku too. He completely double-crossed him. Oh dear. It's hard not to see that as a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma's part. One way or another though, Gregson still ended up dead. I really think that the murder must have happened aboard the steamship. So you mean Judge Jigoku must be lying? No, I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. But you must destroy him, Mr. Naruhodo. Destroy! Please, Kazuma doesn't have feelings. Exactly, yeah. Well, look, guys, it's actually close to break time. So why don't we do it now? So, we know what we need to do here to cut through this guy's bullshit. So he says, where is it, the third or the fourth one? Fourth one. He said that a member of the crew was on duty outside the cabin at all times, and then, if there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. But we have the evacuation drill itinerary, saying that following the departure from Dunkirk, the crew members are required to assemble on the deck at 10 PM in order to review evacuation procedures, and it will take 20 minutes. So at that point, there'd have been nobody on deck. So I think we have to use this against this statement.
Objection!
Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place on board the steamship on the 31st. Where did you get that? It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if I remember. Herlock Sholmes again. According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 PM and for a period of 20 minutes, all crew of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their post? During that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime. Ugh.
Objection!
A 20-minute window of opportunity, that's an excellent find, Ryu. But it amounts to nothing. Why? As the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. Oh, well then. Oh, he told us that, that's right, so I guess he's innocent. Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show the testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel? Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. How could I have missed that? I know, it's like, oh, that's right. He said nothing happened in his cabin, therefore it's fine. because the defense has evidence to prove it. We will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Jigoku's cabin on the 31st of October? We have the small component from his pocket watch.
Take that!
Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? A crown of a pocket watch. A pocket watch? If you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's pocket watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin, his fucking case no less, tells us the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill, in the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku. Oh, you're razor sharp, aren't you? One murderer in here, dude, and that's you. By the way, if you guys can hear every now and then a kind of a rattling noise coming over my microphone, this fucking thing today has decided that the feedback on it, one of the motors must be going and it's rattling. So the microphone occasionally picks up on this, that it's the noise that's coming through from the... Yeah, I need a new... This is an old 360 for Windows. You can't hear it. Maybe because sometimes it's happening when I'm talking. If it goes off when I'm not talking, I notice my microphone seems to be picking up on it, but it might not be loud enough for you. Just thought I'd let you know if you hear a kind of a rattling noise like a... It's this thing. Expertly maneuvered, Ryu. And your argument sounds entirely plausible, at first. But rather like the pocket watch, it's full of cracks. What? And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way. I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year. Sorry? If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast. I think it's clear that the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what's actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st of October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned in my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, the mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an Ippon Seo throw. Ippon Seoi, Seoi? Oi, oi, say, oi. Seoi throw. Oi, mate. Though he couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain because his body was found in London. And all they did was obstruct him justice by not saying everything from the front. Yeah, exactly. An Ippon Seoi, a common jujitsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed heavily on his watch. So, Ryu, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? What? The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. Ah! I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. If this testimony holds, Judge Jigoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court's time here on a cross-examination. No, actually there is. Can we confiscate the whole ship for investigation? Yeah, let's do that. And it's left by now. It's on its way towards the Mediterranean. It's probably in the middle of the Bay of Biscay by now. Sorry, my lord, the defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. On its way to Florida, yes, exactly. It's going to Naples, okay. There's a Naples in Florida as well. It could have meant Florida. So what would we have that could possibly contravene this? And how did the tip of the sword still end up in the luggage? Also, the fact that Kazuma quite quickly played into this before Jigoku even opened his mouth, as though he knew that Jigoku's story was going to be this, like, oh, oh, Kazuma. Yeah, not Kazuma. Oh, Ryu, you really should be careful. You've just proven nothing. It's full of holes, your argument. Full of cracks. And then Jigoku's like, yes, absolutely, here's why it's bullshit. Almost like these two actually knew what they were going to say, which means Kazuma was probably still there.
Hold it!
Let's find out. Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door had just let your killer pass, you mean? Apparently Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course. All at play to uncover the actual culprit, probably. He wouldn't have had his identification with him, though. That's true. He didn't, because what's-his-name had it? Daily Vigil had it. Masquerading as Gregson. He had his trench coat and mustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced. But the man accompanying him would have had two swords slung around his waist. You mean me? Who else? Yes, that's true. You would have hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly all I can tell you is that the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back in my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion. That's right. None whatsoever. Walked through the door, foolishly waving the gun at me.
Hold it!
Obviously you're talking about Inspector Gregson. Yes, though at the time I didn't know the man's name. No time for introductions. I value my life over manners. Smells all funky, it is. By which you mean the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose. That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all of my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Anyway, there was no time to call for help or for the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. Used the throw.
Hold it!
Seishiro sling. Even though the man had a gun, that was a very brave move, wasn't it? I, Eponsei, is faster than a bullet, I can assure you. But surely all the commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it? Yes, of course, he burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow and just managed to slip past him and make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick Ipponsei throw. Watch was broken when he threw him over the shoulder.
Hold it!
Crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say? Not that the man was spared for long, a bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujitsu throw. Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in the cabin, because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. Ha 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 ha. What are you talking about? What the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. Killed having returned to Britain.
Hold it!
But there's no evidence that proves that the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that the idea of yours now, stripling. What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have gotten back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. Devil of a thing. Well then, obviously the culprit moved the body. How exactly? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? In the luggage! Well, yes, that's true, but all passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. And I would like to think that the border police would query a corpse of an English gentleman in his hand luggage. Okay, so not the luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. That's a good point. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. That's killed the idea then. Did the clock stop when it was broken? No. That's the other thing there, Blood. That was a thing that they originally decided that the time of death was what it was, because the watch did actually line up with the time of death, supposedly from when people heard the gunshot that they think killed him on Fresno Street when they found the body. So all that lined up, except for the fact that the watch could be wound and started up again, which means he was unable to continue winding the watch previously. The way it works is, every 24 hours Gregson would wind his watch meticulously. That was something Gina Lestrade told us. And since we could no longer rely on the fact that the watch had stopped at the time of death, when we wound it up using the winding mechanism that we found, the watch carried on working. So really what had happened is the watch just stopped because it hadn't been wound within the last 24 hours, and he wound it every lunchtime, like in the middle of the day. So that's kind of the problem, is that if he wound it every day at lunchtime, why did the watch stop only a few hours later? No, it stopped way earlier because he was unable to wind it the day before, and that started this whole line of inquiry that maybe he died a day earlier and was unable, or he was at least kidnapped a day earlier and unable to wind his watch. Yeah, lunch clock, exactly.